Hello everybody and welcome. Happy New Year. New year, same overtime. You can get involved any way you want. Hashtag NBL Overtime via all our socials. So much to get into. Again, a kind of weird week. We're about to fire up. And to get everyone excited, I'm sending Liam, Cian and Maria back to the monitor, which of course failed dismally when he wore thongs a couple of years ago. I said thongs, not thong. But we have had a little bit of disjointment ourselves because health and safety protocols, our man Homicide has entered them. So we've brought in the man, Damon Lowery, in the house. What up, buddy? Welcome to NBL Overtime.
Good to see you, big fella. Good to be here.
When it comes to your career, this is almost a highlight, right?
It's got to be top 5. We come a long way, Liam. From the days of riding on the plane back from China, you chewing my ear off for the whole flight, and now here we are. Yeah,
and he's about to chew your ear off here at NBL Overtime. Of course, studs and dud. You've only got one dud this week, right?
You're right. I should have dropped the S off.
Mate.
It was hard to find duds this week. All 4 of the teams played well, only a limited amount of games. Shout out, Corey. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to the show, big fella.
So much to get into. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. And we're going to start offshore. We're going to start with Josh Giddey. Of course, so much has been made of the Next Star program in the last couple of years, and the success of it. LaMelo Ball went straight to the NBA and was a huge success. And now this young man beats the record that LaMelo Ball had. He beat him by, what's about 150-odd days. The youngest man in the history of the NBA with a triple-double. And I'm going to let you fire away first, Liam. This is as impressive as you could do. He's coming out of health and safety protocols himself. So he sort of sat on the couch for a week or so and comes out and gives us this. He's been flirting with it and he got it.
Could this guy be any more impressive?
No.
In terms of what he's done so far in his, over the course of his journey, but especially in this rookie campaign, the development of the stroke, the development of the runner, you can see how hard he's working on his game. And then, of course, in that NBA environment, his basketball IQ, his read of the game is just well and truly on display. And I'm talking about how he handles himself on court, off court, the entire package. He's representing us all so beautifully, and so good to see him grab that record.
The demeanor. I thought the early games that he was playing, I thought, pretty good, pretty good. The consistency that which he plays with. Every single game, you know what you're going to get from this guy. He's going to rebound. He's going to dish. He's going to run the team. He's going to hit the occasional 3-ball. And all of a sudden, it gets a little bit more consistent, and you look up, and this guy is double-doubles. Even if he don't get the triple-double, it's a double-double waiting to happen. And something about his personality, it suits the NBA. Nothing seems to rattle this guy. He just plays.
Even if he doesn't score a single point.
Yeah.
The double-doubles.
It doesn't rattle him.
You mentioned, obviously, the work he's done on his jump shot and his runners. Yeah. And it's still a lot of way to go when it comes to NBA standards. So much of what he is doing right now is on the feel of the game or his basketball IQ. And for everyone who's watched him from the junior level up and obviously having a relationship with the family like we do, we've kind of paid a little more attention when he's still under 16s and under 18s and he's doing these and different. He went to the NBL. When he started at the 36ers, he wasn't starting, okay? They were, we're going to ease him in. But 18 months later, he's getting triple-doubles in the NBA. His ability to adapt and rise to a level is not dissimilar to what LaMelo Ball did, and that's an obvious comparison, but it is outstanding.
There are some people here in Australia who knew. I mean, maybe not youngest ever in the NBA history to have a triple-double, but they knew he was a really, really special talent. I'm talking about, a guy like Chris Anstey, coaching him in those under-20 nationals for Victoria was like, oh my God, like this kid is going to be the future. Simon Mitchell and Ian Stacker at Southeast Melbourne Phoenix, they were like, we actually just want to sign this. He was 16, I think, at the time. We just want to sign him to a contract. So because we know he's on to amazing things. So what an unbelievable talent, and the future of the game in the green and gold in such great hands.
All right, let's get into a question that I never thought I'd give a certain answer to. So this time last week, we opened it to you to ask us any question, and one of them was, in particular, around the hardship contracts, but who will be the next person to step non-Next Star to the NBA? Of course, on the back of Jar Sean Tate, Kiefer Sykes got his first start yesterday as well. Who is it going to be? And I'll be honest, group, I didn't say Brad Newley, but some developing news overnight. Of course, the NBA works in such weird and mysterious ways. The draft rights to Brad Newley traded to the New York Knicks. They've been looking for a saviour. Now, it was well documented that he was able to lose some weight. He looked great. He's come in. He's playing really well for Melbourne United. But I'll throw to you first, Damon. I didn't expect Brad Newley to be the saviour and Madison Square Garden to be eagerly awaiting our very own Newells.
I'm hoping that he is packing his bags right now. Get your plane ticket. Noodles, my man, old teammate. Noodles was a rookie my last year in the league, so it's good to see one guy still hanging around. And you never give up on your dreams. So, Spike Lee, Brad Newley.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see it happen.
Somewhere right now, Ben Pepper's stretching up. He's just like, hold on, maybe there's a chance here. Yeah. It's incredible to see Brad Newley's draft rights being traded. And you're right, he's actually not bad, Nick.
He's in great shape.
I don't know if it's quite going to happen, but I will say it surprised me that everyone in the NBL that started the year is still here. And not in now. Obviously, there's the time restriction of they're trying to get guys on the floor the next day, which is why they're pulling them out of the G League. But you know, guys are going to be going down. Why wouldn't you be given Vic Law or Robert Franks or one of these guys a call?
I agree that the actual conversation about getting the hardship contract into the team because of the time and you have to pass protocols. I understand all of that. But if you're an NBA franchise right now, you're calling this particular agent and saying, hey, we want to try. Can we entice this particular player to come to the G League? Because he may only be there for one game or to actually go through the actual paperwork and the next thing you know, he's in the... I tweeted last week, and timing's... Dante Exum, who has been great since going to Barcelona, if he was in the G League, if he had stayed in the US, he'd be in the NBA right now and he'd probably never be out of it. Timing is an impeccable thing, and I can say the same thing about... Surely they're calling these athletes who are NBA caliber players and saying, hey, how can we make this work? Although the timing of it and the logistics around the 10 days and all the rest of it is a little bit tough. But, well, you would know more than anyone. Like, someone's had the call, right? At least, surely. The opening conversation, maybe not the, hey, this is what we want, but there has to be that.
You would assume so. And then the other question is whether the guy would take it. Like, for instance, Bryce Cotton a few years ago offered that 10-day by Atlanta. Was in Perth at the time, said, you know what, I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to stay and win this title. But, you know, if you're Chris Golding or, you know, someone like that, you can never take those NBA games away from Mitch Creek. He's an NBA player from here on out. You can... Kiefer Sykes, what it meant to him to check into that first game and become an NBA player, you can never... It's an achievement of a dream. Like, I played 7 probably total minutes in the NBA. You can never take it away that I played at that level. So you would think that there'd be some guys who would say yes.
Hey, just on Bryce Cotton, straight up, he was outstanding. Slowish start, which was the Wildcats on New Year's Eve in Cairns, and then his second quarter was nuts. Damon is the MVP right now?
Yep. And I said this on our crossover. Shout out to crossover. But Bryce Cotton is a pathological scorer. And I say that with the greatest amount of respect. There's never a moment that he cannot give you the business. If you relax for a second, he's going to hurt you. He's going to try to hurt you the entire time. There's no such thing as a bad shot to him. And once he gets hot, his team knows he's hot and they all go to him. They look for him. They run sets for him. And he comes and he delivers. And a pathological scorer, he don't care that he's got 0 points coming out of the first quarter because he knows who he is. He's a firm believer in his ability.
Damon, when you're guarding someone like this, and you would have done it at all levels in your illustrious career, how much does it take away from your offensive game? Because you're right, you can't for a split second at all blink your eyes or the whole thing changes. How much does it hurt you on the other end?
It's a massive focus. You almost forget about the offense. Now, me, on the other hand, it wasn't like I was the offensive weapon on my team. So defensively was the bigger aspect for me. But guys that came to mind that when I played, Brett Maher, Shane Hill, Andrew Gaze, not a second, out of bounds play. You can't stand there and go, hey, boom, layup. You just, oh, you won't shoot from, oh, he shot it. And you look at the coach and go, I didn't think he was going to shoot that. Of course he's going to shoot it. They're pathological scorers.
Yeah.
So these guys completely changed the entire way the game is played, and you got to be switched on from start to finish.
The worst part about guarding a guy like this is when the coach says, we're switching everything with Bryce. And you're like, no. Help me. Because all of Bull Qual was really playing Bryce Cotton tough. But where he got going off some slow, late switches, those fouls from Zimmerman off that screening action off the ball was him just being a step late. And Qual's like, oh my God, if we're going to switch. at least come out like crazy on this guy. And then, you know, offensive rebound, kick out, cross match, Quatnoy, step back, bucket. They're the frustrating things. And then as the game wears on, and I'll show this at the monitor in a minute, then guys start getting confused because people just want to, like, the guy who's guarding Bryce wants to stay there, the switch, and then they break down from there.
But that's what the best players in the world do. They confuse you in ways you don't even know it's going to happen. Next thing you know, you're confused in either a timeout or in the motion. Next thing you know, you're scored and you're like, well, I've got to pack it up and go to the other end and try and get one back on you. The Wildcats, they had a really frustrating week, and unfortunately is the time right now where it's no one's real fault. You know, this happens in a split second. Someone tests positive and the different health regulations. They jump on a plane thinking they're going to be away for 6 weeks. Then a game gets changed. They played New Year's Eve. That first quarter, Cairns Convention Centre was going nuts. It was outstanding. It was a great game to end the new year. But in the end, the Wildcats do what the Wildcats do. They're on top of the ladder. That man, he may be the MVP of the team, and Bryce Cotton might be the MVP of the league, and that's saying something. What do you make of this Wildcats team, Damon?
I'm a big fan. Now they added Michael Frazier into the starting lineup. When you got your third guy, everybody can't drive the car. Somebody's got to sit in the back seat. Somebody's got to be happy to be the passenger. It looks like Michael Frazier is happy in his role. Given on any given night, I'm sure that Michael Frazier can go to work, but he's happy to be that third guy that you think, oh, Bryce didn't shoot it. Oh, Vic didn't score. And then you look up and Frazier got the bucket. You know what I mean? So they got good balance as a team. They're happy with the driver of the car, and the passengers in the car look happy to be in there.
But it's rare for an import too, right? You got to sell that dream, or you got to sell that vision prior to signing a particular player when you've got Cotton and Law already on the contract.
You need to be, this is when recruiting is huge. It's not just about what you can do on the floor. What kind of person am I bringing into this group? Are you prepared to take on this role? Because if not, it don't matter how good you are. You're going to wreck the team, because, you know. So you got chemistry guys. Some guys are built for it, some guys are not. It looks like Michael Frazier is one of those guys.
Now, Damon, I know you watch NBL Overtime on the regular.
Religiously.
We did this. Liam, who is the best analyst in the game, we sent him, well, when was that? Probably 6, 9, might have been 2 years ago. COVID's made me lose track of time, but we sent him to the monitor and he was in thongs. And it caused an uproar. It nearly broke NBL Twitter. So we said, we'll get you some new shoes, thank you, and you're off to the monitor, mate, to talk about the Wildcats. Fire away.
Yeah, let's dive a little deeper on the Wildcats and what they did over the weekend. Start here, you're talking about Michael Frazier. Let's shout him out real quick. Here he is, late in the clock here. Pause it here. 3 seconds to go, end of the quarter. Nothing frustrates me more than guys who, in this situation, hoist it from halfway. An absolute prayer from the backcourt. No need. Look at what Michael Frazier does. Looks at the clock. I've got enough time, roll the tape, to get right to the rim and roll the tape. And he gets all the way there right as the clock expires and I get the bucket. I love that awareness from Michael Frazier. And I love this awareness from Scott Morrison as well. Pause this here. First play of the fourth quarter. Bryce has just given the Taipans 29 points over the last 20 minutes of game time. So they go into the huddle and they say, you know what? Bull Qual is so focused on Bryce, they're going to mess up their switches here. Let's put Vic Law in that action. Watch how they clear out this whole side for roll the tape, pick and pop with Vic Law. Bull Qual doesn't switch.
Bang.
Wide open three for Vic Law. So what do they do the very next time they get it coming down? Same action. Adam Ford notices what's going on, starts going crazy about the switch that didn't happen. Wide open. This is what Trevor Gleeson did with Nick Kay and Bryce Cotton a couple of seasons ago. Very good coaching here. And let's finish up lastly with Luke Travers. Love Luke Travers, incredible athlete, but give me something on the breakaway. Come on, man.
Yeah.
You got that time and space. Just give us watch Majuk Deng when he gets out on the break and he cocks it back and he assaults the rim. Luke Travers, next time you're in that situation, pull that thing down.
Wildcats, 5-1, top the ladder right now, and a team who is really starting to fire up as well as the team that beat them in last year's grand final series. Melbourne United, they had to go to Hobart. We're going to talk Tasmania in a moment, but they have been able to find their groove after a zip and 2 start. Matthew Dellavedova playing particularly well. And they are rolling right now behind that man, Chris Goulding.
As I said plenty of times, and I'll say it again, they will go as far as CG43 takes them. But I like the other guys stepping up. You got, obviously, Joel Achul doing his thing. You got Caleb Agata, who is now firmly entrenched in the starting five and producing. You also have Jack White coming back into the group, and he's one of those guys that's a glue guy. He will give you some buckets, give you some rebounds, give you some steals. He does a little bit of everything to keep the whole squad rolling nicely.
They're not going to go as far as Chris Goulding takes them. Because Chris Goulding, you can bank it. He is going to be there. Game in, game out, big moments. They get themselves into a championship series. And when his number's called, he's going to get it done. We've seen it time and time again. They're going to go as far as Caleb Agata takes him. He is the X factor for that team. And we saw in the first couple of games, he's still trying to find his feet, no CG. With CG out there, Caleb starts to feel a bit more comfortable. Now you can see they are now the team that Dean Vickerman and the front office thought that they would be when they signed him. And they decided, look, you know what, we're only going to go with one import. Joe Luala-Chul's going to get some more opportunity. We'll bring in the next star behind him, one import, let's see how it goes. And with Caleb Agata playing at this level, it's going very nicely.
Veteran team. And we're going to talk about Tasmania, and I was lucky enough to be there on Saturday night. But like in crucial moments, and this is what Melbourne United do so particularly well, both the structure under Dean Vickerman, but also the players at his disposal. Matthew Dellavedova, Chris Goulding, Agata to a smaller extent. They don't panic. They do not panic. And last year in that game, when they were 18 points down in Game 3 to the Phoenix, they didn't panic. They got themselves in a hole, but they worked their way out of it in a way. And that's what happens. And you know what? Even without Goulding, earlier in the year when they gave themselves opportunities to beat the Kings in round 1 and get the Phoenix in the second week and they fell a little bit short, they were able to stay. The belief they've got in Dean Vickerman and the system gives them an opportunity every single time. The personnel is what makes them championship contenders. But the system and the structure and the fact that everyone believes in it is the reason that they're so good. And you mentioned Jack White. He'll start sooner rather than later. He'll be their starting 4 guy sooner rather than later. You got Jewel inside who's doing what he does. Hakporti comes off the bench. Their X factor and excitement and energy of these younger guys who are doing what they do then gives them a little different dimension, in particular on defence.
That lack of panic.
Flying, which makes me interested to see where the power rankings end up in a moment or two.
That lack of panic comes from having guys that have been there and done it.
Yeah.
You have the infrastructure in place when you've got those guys from the coaching staff, but also in Perth, that Scott Morrison hasn't been there and done it in this league, that Bryce Cotton has and Jesse Wagstaff has, and they go, well, there's no need to panic, and it's we saw that in both those games on the weekend, right? The Wildcats get down 18 in the first quarter, no panic. Same thing, Melbourne United.
Didn't even mention Dave Barlow, who's a crucial part of, coming off the bench and solidifying what's going on, although he has been starting. And you would have been in this situation at different times. That championship team, you had veterans left, right and centre, and you would have found yourself in moments where you could not panic and got it done.
Those veterans, when you get them all together and they're all on the same page, there's no panic. We know. We look at the clock, we go, we're down 10, 5 minutes to go, plenty of time. You always think there's plenty of time, but you've trained, you've drilled yourself in these situations. And all it takes is one person to be nervous to bring it to the group. My high school coach used to say, don't bring panic to the floor. And you get a veteran group, they don't bring panic to the floor. They just don't do it. And they're going to execute down the stretch.
My favourite thing about the power rankings, you're across the power rankings, right?
I'm across them. Not always agreeing with them, but I'm across them.
But this is my favourite thing, and it's my favourite thing about media in all sport.
Yep.
Player. I don't listen to the radio, I don't watch TV, I don't read this. Coaches, exact same. Power rankings come out, DM. It was like, at Liam Santa, fire them that way. Let's see what we've done here. The Wildcats stay on top, the Phoenix right there.
No, not stay on top.
Oh.
They've finally made it.
Was Phoenix on top last week?
All hail the Wildcats. They've been gunning for that #1 spot.
Mate.
And they've
You left the Phoenix on top last week.
I made no change.
Yeah.
Except I bumped up the Wildcats.
So the Red Army got to you. So when people were photoshopping the power rankings and putting it and saying, here, Liam, I've fixed this for you, did you actually do that yourself, or did one of the Red Army just put that up?
I just can't take it anymore. Just leave me alone for a minute. Now, look,
They're the best team in the league at the moment. Yeah.
Southeast Melbourne, they are, and some of it is because of who they've got and who they are and all of that. But it's also the circumstance.
Of course.
The 5 games at the start of the season at home helps you build momentum. While they've got guys out, they bring them back as they're going along. The teams they've been playing, that's been helpful in that regard as well.
Still got to win.
Also, these other teams, Southeast Melbourne Phoenix haven't played for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That matters.
Oh, yeah.
Of course it does.
Oh, yeah.
3 weeks, no game, there's some rust involved there. So the fact that they've been playing consistently, they've got all this momentum, they're the #1 team in the league.
All right, who impressed you the most? 2 teams lost on the weekend, Cairns and Tassie, but both had huge opportunities against 2 really good teams. In fact, second and third on the... first and third. Where did you have Melbourne? Third still?
Yeah.
Yeah, on the power rankings. Cairns or Tassie, who impressed you the most?
I'm going to start off with who impressed me the least.
Oh, okay. So, well, it's 50-50, so...
Tasmania. I got an issue with you, Jack Jumpers. I got some issues. You need to understand the difference between a scorer, a facilitator. What does the team need? Now, Josh Majette, he's a good player. Can score. Had a cup of coffee with Team USA. He's a legit dude. Are you doing enough to help the team win? I don't know. And that's a shame that I got to say that. I don't know. Because I'm watching a guy like Clint Steindl, who is, it's not even up for debate, he's your best shooter. I'm watching him starve. He shouldn't be starving the way he's starving. He's coming off the bench. I think that's a problem. But whatever. If you want to bring a guy off a hired gun off the bench, fine. But when he gets out there on the floor, you can't starve this dude. So that's my little issues with the Jack Jumper.
Well, Majette's a history maker as well. The only man to ever be the solo dud in studs and dud, Liam Santamaria.
I will say, I got some love for Josh Majette. I'll tell you why. This guy was, when he came out of high school, he had 1 college offer. It was from a Division II school. 1. Plays in the NBA. That in of itself is an incredible story, something to be extremely proud of.
Good player.
And I think, yeah, he does need to make some adjustments. Park the car park 3. Do you know what I mean? Early in the shot clock.
Don't need that.
It's not necessary. You can knock it down.
Yeah.
But you don't need to bring it out on the reg. And yeah, if he has that mindset of, I'm going to lead the league in assists like he has done for years and years in the G League, and he's like, he needs to have that mentality of like Jack McVeigh, I got to get him going. I got to get him going because he's had a bit of a slow start to the season. Mikhail McIntosh, I'm going to take it on myself a little bit to make sure this guy starts producing at a high level. I agree with you. He needs
Liam
to
Santamaria is a facilitator, a point guard's point guard. I remember you, Liam, when you played. In the way you orchestrated your team. I watched you do it. I'm not surprised you say that. But Josh Majette, it's hard when you just got it and you think you can score all the time. Like in your head, you think, but I can score. Yeah, but that's not what we need right now. We need these guys involved. But to your original question, who I'm most impressed with, the Cairns Taipans.
I've kind of figured that because there was only 2 teams and you just whacked the Jack Jumper.
There you go. Cairns Taipans, the way they came out, down 2 imports at home against the league leaders. They come out with high energy. Bull Quadrago is what I'm getting ready to start calling this dude. You know who he is, right?
Talk to me.
Kyle Drago. He's the Dothraki leader.
Yeah.
He came out with energy. He's only a young dude. He got right into Bryce Cotton. He goes, your night will not go as you think it's going to go. And the team fed off of his energy. He picked up a couple early fouls. Didn't worry him. You got Majuk Ding just playing lights out right now. Everybody seems to be buying in. And Adam Foreman, at the start of the season, I thought, oh, here we go again, Cairns. Here we go. Adam, good luck with this group. They seem to be trending in the right direction. So I'm impressed. They took the L, but I think they can do much better.
This is why, you want to shout out Majuk Ding?
I want to shout out Majuk Ding. We've spoken about this time and time again. 2 seasons ago, or last season, we were like, he's got to stand up. Injuries hurt him. Get all of that. We have sat here and talked each and every week. That is the player, and that's the guy who can do what he does and what he did on Saturday night. And if he does that each and every week, in particular at home, they're very hard to beat.
Yeah, and he's vaulted himself in those most improved player conversations in a massive way. Career high, 1 round, then the next game he puts some extra points on that record. This is why I liked Adam Ford as a signing for the Cairns Taipans, because he's a punch above our weight kind of coach. Last year with the Sydney Kings, injury riddled, winning record, 19-17, despite Xavier Cooks and the preseason injury, Jarrell Martin missing all kinds of game, Vasiljevic going down midway through the season. Because he can get guys to play out of their skin when the team's back is against the wall, and that's what's happening with the Taipans right now. I got a little bit of love for the Jack Jumpers.
Yeah, good.
Because I thought, I've been really impressed with the way they've gone about. We saw it in preseason, like, oh, hold on, they're gonna show us some stuff. You know, they're going about it the right way. And I think Scott Roth has put in place a system, especially at the defensive end, where they don't just play hard, they play smart defensively. They're connected. They have their rules, they're ready to back each other, and he keeps guys accountable at the defensive end. If you're not going to defend in games and on the day-to-day on the practice court, like we've set down in our scout and in our rules, you're not going to play.
And when you say not going to play, you mean at all.
You're not going to play a second, which is the situation for the Russian next star right now. And and I think that is a really good way to start a franchise. You say, this is what we're going to stand for. This is who we're going to be. And when they say we're going to follow the Perth Wildcats blueprint of success, that's what he's talking about.
I want to give a shout out to the Jack Jumpers as well, and more so everything around it. As you know, I'm on an NBL Overtime solo tour. I'm going to every stadium in the NBL this particular year. Mark McGowan let me in, for crying out loud. I want to get into RSC Arena. But I was down in Tasmania on Saturday night, and we were there for the Blitz, 2019, and first time I'd ever been to the Derwent Entertainment Centre, and everyone's selling the dream, and I'm like, this is going to need a refurbishment. It is outstanding. It is one of the best places I've watched basketball in this country. It's a boutique stadium. The fans are going nuts. The seat that I had, thank you to the crew, that was a perfect spot to have it as well. But got to hand it to, they are doing everything right, and the team is playing hard, which is all you want from a new franchise. I had a good chat to Wayne McDaniel. He gave me a bit of a rundown of the old days, how it used to be in the Derwent Entertainment Centre compared to now when Sam goes around it. It was cool to be there. So everyone, both on and off the court, congratulations. And I can't wait to get back down to Tassie before the season is out. All right. Bench players, role players, you wanted to highlight a couple. Damon, take it away, my man.
I'm familiar with the role of the bench guy. That was my role. I came off the bench. Now, there's some guys...
You've come off the bench today.
Hey, here I am again, still come off the bench. It's a mentality. So, I want to shout out the bench guys in the league. We always talk about the Bryce Cottons, the Vic Laws. I want to talk about Cameron Bairstow.
Ooh.
This guy is an NBA player, like you said, Liam. Once you've been in, you're always in the club. Cameron Bairstow, in his limited minutes, 20 minutes a game maybe, 11.7 rebounds. Almost a double-double off the bench. You got DJ. You got your imports there. You got Mitch McCann running the show. There's depth in the big man department. Kai Soto, we haven't seen a whole lot of him, but he's still in those rotations, right? Cameron Bairstow sits there and he goes, he's not pouting. He said, I could be starting. He would have a legitimate beef if he says, how come I'm not starting? But he's a team guy. Let me just come in and just play my role. Every team needs guys like that to come off the bench with the right attitude.
Hashtag NBL Overtime if you've got a bench or a role player. I know you want to shout out Jesse Wagstaff.
Oh, come on, man. He's one of the all-time absolute greats.
Couldn't disagree, but we're running out of time. And the people, the great men and women at Amy, will absolutely verbal me if I don't get to Santa's watching. So all thanks to Amy, the great man Santa has been watching. Take it away.
Let's start in Tassie, press conference at Melbourne United. Dean Vickerman, Chris Golding. Look at the fly that lands on Dean Vickerman's arm. And Chris is like, yo, I see you. He's like, Vico, you see it?
That's a focused coach. He would have been talking about defence there.
He's like, Vico, yeah. I'm trying to get that fly. And then eventually he's like, is everyone seeing the fly? Is Vico going to...
Yay!
And then watch Chris and the response here. When Vico eventually knocks it away, he's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, job done.
That's the kind of focus you need to have from your captain.
That's all you got.
That's it.
That's all you got.
I thought that was pretty good.
That was great. But you normally have 3 or 4. We brought our man in off the bench, and I thought I've been bragging to him about Sanders watching and how great it's going to be, and you got one thing.
There was only 2 games. I thought that was pretty fun.
Well, let's go back to Jesse Wagstaff just quickly then, because he's been a legend in this league for a long period of time, and this year's no different. In particular, a couple of weeks ago when someone had to stand up and he delivered.
In the mould of some of the all-time NBL greats, of reliable championship-winning bench contributors, Dylan Boucher, David Stiff, these kind of guys who win championships because they do all the dirty work. Jesse Wagstaff's been doing that for a long, long time. And now, this year, has a chance to stand alone to win 7 championships as a player. Could you imagine the way he does it game in, game out? He's even added some elements to his game this year where he can explode off the bounce. So keep on keeping on, Jesse Wagstaff.
Beautifully done. We've got to get out of here. Give me one team you're looking forward to this weekend. Just one.
Adelaide.
Me too. Liam?
Sydney, Jalen Adams.
Done. All thanks to us at NBL Overtime. Have a very happy new year. I forgot about Amy. See ya.